Okay. And go ahead, Rick.
Okay, so first of all, I want to welcome everyone to the call this morning. And we're going to take about 45 minutes to an hour to talk about the 4x multiple arbitrage principle. And there's myself, and then the co-sponsor is Ross Pantel. And how I met Ross is he actually found me online, and I was very intrigued by what he had to say about building businesses. I specialize in selling businesses, but Ross specializes in helping people build them. In fact, I was so impressed by what he had to say that I hired him to help me with one of my businesses. And I thought I was impressed before that, but after working with Ross, he really helped me get on track for building that business. And that's why I've invited him to the call today and to this webinar, because as I said, I can sell them, but I can't help you grow them. And that's really people that want to maximize their selling price. That's really what it's about. How do I maximize that selling price and get my where it needs to be when I'm ready to sell? So we want to talk a little bit about the 4X. As a business owner, you've built a successful company and you're contemplating a sale and you're faced with the proposition of selling. Most business owners have not sold their business before. And so they're wondering, how does this process work? And one question is, how do I get the highest selling price? You built it, you want to maximize the cash in your pocket at closing. And today's webinar is about just that, how to maximize that selling price and how to get it right. So I get this question, what can I do to get more money for my business? And most people will ask that question when it's too late. Steve, you're one of the smart ones, and we've worked together for several years now. And you've asked me that question before. So the people that are attending the seminar, I'm really glad that you're here, because now we have some time to plan and help you get more money for your business. When you ask that question, when we're ready to sell it, there's things that we can do, but it's more last minute. And so I'm really glad that you're on this seminar today and not asking the question before it's too late. So the 4X arbitrage principle is very simple. It says that for every increased dollar that you put to EBITDA, you increase your business value $4. And I use a 4 multiple. I think you could use a 3, or some businesses are as high as a 10 or even a 15 in the tech world, but I use a 4 to kind of be conservative. And what that means is if you invest dollars to increase EBITDA, you get a 400% return on your investment. Okay, how do you take advantage of that? There's basically 3 ways. 1, increase your revenue. 2, decrease your costs. And 3, to focus on EBITDA. And I want to recommend that you laser focus on EBITDA. That's one of the best ways to increase your selling price, because businesses sell as a multiple of EBITDA generally. And I recommend that you learn it, memorize it, think about it, focus on that. It's like a garden. If you water that, it's going to grow. And so that is the principle. That's what you need to do. But the problem is that's not my area of expertise. And so that's why I brought Ross in today. He's gonna take up the bulk of the webinar and talk to you about ways that you can increase your revenue or decrease your cost to boost EBITDA. And go ahead, Ross.
Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone for joining today's webinar. What I want and my ultimate goal here is to help any small business owner get through COVID, whether you're hurting or you're having an increase in business due to the COVID. There are always issues that arise in your business, and I'm here to help every one of you. And I want to thank Rick for inviting me to this webinar. As Rick says, we have been working together for some time, and I did search them out because I thought there's a great opportunity to partner up with an organization like Rick's, who's dealing with businesses that are looking to sell. And obviously there are ones that are looking to sell now and can sell now, but there are other ones that are not ready yet because number one is they want to get a higher valuation, or they just need some processes and procedures put into place to really create an increase in revenue and higher profits, which result in a higher valuation. And with that being said, basically I talk to small business owners every day, and most of them are hurting because of COVID. They need more customers. Customers have gone out of business, or they're just not operating at 100% level. So everyone is emotional, whether it's a negative emotion or a positive emotion. And the problem I find with small business owners is emotions take over. And when you have to make an important decision, those emotions can really put you into the wrong decision mode, and it can hurt you going forward. But here it is, how to get all the new business you could ever want, even during a pandemic. And are you executing like this? Take the bullhorn and scream in it, or are you making these common mistakes? And what I want to do is introduce myself. I am a business development and marketing strategist. I have over 30 years working with small to large corporations in both the public and private sectors. And I've worked with companies that were in the hundreds of thousands and multi-billion. Specialists in startups, growth and restructuring scenarios, domestic and international expertise, supply chain specialist, certification, import, export, and an author. So basically, these are scary times. You have 7.5 million small businesses are at risk of closing. More than half of US restaurant closures are permanent due to coronavirus. The pandemic is costing us, or going to cost us, $5 trillion, and those numbers are devastating. More than 100,000 small businesses have closed since COVID began. And what's really interesting is COVID-19 crushing effects on the medical practices, some which might not survive, like chiropractors or physical therapists, or the smaller ones, which really are dependent on the average person coming to their business. But what I want to stress is this is not gloom or doom. These are just facts, and you do not have to be a statistic. I'm going to show you all about it. And if anyone has any questions, don't hesitate to interrupt me. This is a pie chart of a business growth possibilities. And what I want to mention is there's an 80-20 rule in business. Not sure if everyone knows about it, but what it is 20% of what every business owner does every day produces 80% of your revenue. So that means you're doing X amount of things, which constitutes 20% of what you need to do daily, will produce 80% of your results, or revenues, I should say. And what I find is that when I talk to business owners, people tell me I'm too busy. I don't have time. I'm working till 11 o'clock at night. So when I sit with them and I dig deep and I tell them, you know what, you're working on the 80% of the business that's producing 20% of the revenue. Let's flip it. And within a day, they see remarkable, not only increase in their emotions, in their feelings, in their attitude, but they're not overwhelmed. They're dealing with the things that really matter. Not saying the 20% does not matter, but concentrate on the 80% revenue. Then we could go and fine tune the 20%. The key portion is your foundation. And the foundation is like anything else. You're building a house made out of clay and sand. The first snowstorm, it's in the next county. But if you build it with brick and steel, it's going to sustain any sort of, disaster, and you will be able to have a strong foundation to grow it even in the future. So the first part is a strategy. What is your strategy? Where do you want to go to? What's your 1, 3, 5 year plan? How are you going to execute that? What are you doing today that you need to, that do you really know if you're doing well in that area or you need help in a certain area to grow? Next is your market dominating position. And your market dominating position are words, phrases, images that convey the power and the precision and the passion that instantly and definitively communicate who you are, how you're different from your competition, and how you're better, and what your customers can expect when doing business with you. Now, when you have a market dominating position, you will never have to compete on price, and you'll never have competition, because the key here is you are standing out from a crowd and you are supplying the information that your clients or prospects are looking for. Another part are policies and procedures. And I know with a lot of small businesses, they have certain policies and procedures in place, but they're old. They need to be updated, or they're not in place. Some are, some aren't. And the key is when you do go through growth spurt and businesses is good, your policies and procedures are not even created, or they're not revised based upon your growth. And what happens is all of a sudden the tail begins to wag the dog. You're running out of control, even though you're running and filling orders or services that you provide. The key is having a policy and procedures in place so you could track where you are, where you're going. Are you ahead? Are you behind? And what do you do to adjust and be flexible? The next thing is your customers or potential customers have to trust you. It's like Rick and I built a relationship and we trust each other, where I can provide clients when I sit and I talk to a business owner and I say, "What's your end game?" And they say, "What do you mean?" And they say, "Well," I say, "You've been doing this for X amount of years. You want to grow it, but what's your end game? And are you ever going to look to sell? Are you going to hand it down to a family member? What are you going to do?" And if the end game is to sell, then I know I have a partner I could direct it to in Rick, and vice versa. And he knows how I think and I know how he thinks. And that's what everything's built on, is trust, relationships. And you have to portray and express the expertise that you have in your business. But most importantly, you have to educate your potential customer. Once you have your foundation, you then could go into more leads. This is crucial today because a lot of businesses need more clients because some of their clients have disappeared. And it's one thing if you have 20 customers and each one's 5%, to make 100%, you lose one, two, or three. It's not going to affect you. Whereas if you have a client that's 20% of your business and you only have 5 customers, so that's pretty important. So there are a number of ways of creating more leads. And the best one is the referral system. And again, people buy from people they trust. And if you recommend someone to someone you know, or even an acquaintance, they believe in that referral system. The only problem with it is you do not know when it's going to happen. You can't predict it. You can't depend upon it. The next one is JVs, joint ventures, and alliances. And everyone knows a joint venture is between two or more businesses, usually with a revenue share. But what I do in business is I sit down with business owners, and I'm going to take an example of a florist. And this is one I worked with recently. And of course, it's a common thing with florists, especially before COVID. You take the wedding industry. I create a wedding chain. What are all the businesses that affect the wedding industry that also are part of a florist's chain? You have the jeweler, you have the venue, you have the wedding planner, you have the church, chapel, synagogue, you have the florist. And then below that, you could have a live band, a DJ, a limo driver, on and on and on. So what I've done is I said to the florist, go to a jeweler, go to a wedding planner, go to the church, chapel, synagogue, go to the venues, go to anyone above there, and build a relationship. Now, what started to happen, the average cost of flowers for a wedding is $3,000. So I said to her, I said, do you think you could get a referral from one of the businesses above you, whether it's the jeweler, the wedding planner, the church, chapel, synagogue, you name it? You get one a month times $3,000. That's $36,000 she was able to achieve with very little work being done. But also, and that's $36,000 additional revenue in the year. But then I said, what about when you make referrals to businesses below you? You make a referral to the invitation, to the cake, to the limo driver, and every referral you get a 10% fee for. So at the end of the day, I was able to uncover additional $41,000 for this florist in no time. And it may take a month or two to build those strong relationships, but they run on clockwork. You're always getting them because you built that solid relationship. Next is publicity and PR. That's also very positive. Again, testimonials. Then you have direct mail, and a lot of people say direct mail is dead, the vow pack and all that. And I said, you want to know something? Direct mail, if it doesn't pertain to your business, that's fine. But for the ones that it does, it's one of the cheapest ways of doing it. But the key here is the information you're supplying is not going to work. And what I'm going to get into is what we call the conversion equation. And it's been around since the 1800s. And unfortunately, in the late 1940s, when TV was invented, all of a sudden businesses would advertise on TV for 2 minutes. And they realized that it was very expensive, so they dropped it down to 30-second spots. What this did was change their whole marketing and advertising campaign. It went from informative to branding. So now when I sit down with a chiropractor or a lawyer or a roofer or a landscaper or a pool manufacturer or anyone like that, or any type of business, I say, pull up your competition's website and look at it and look at yours. And I ask them, what's different? And most of the time they say, well, the only difference is the name. I said, bingo. You're dealing on branding your business and you're competing with your neighbor, your competition, and the only thing you can compete on is price. So every time you discount your price, you have to do 10% discount means you have to do 30% more business to break even. I come out and say, raise your price. And they're scared because they're worried they're going to lose market share. And I said, for the small percentage you lose in market share, you make up with the higher price and your net margins go up as well as your profits. So getting to that, the conversion equation, when you're dealing in advertising, anything you're dealing with your market dominating position, it's all based upon attacking two big issues with your clients. Every potential client has a problem which they do not want, and there's a result they want which they do not have. And I'm going to repeat it. Every prospect or potential prospect, no matter what industry you're in, has a problem which they do not want, and there's a result they want which you have. And the key is you have to address those two problems, and they have to be the first things out of your mouth when you communicate who you are, or in your advertising, in your marketing, whether it's print, whether it's social media, whether it's verbal, you got it. And once you do that, you'll have more business than you ever dreamed of, and you'll never compete on price or have competition. Because
Hey, Ross?
yes,
Hey, can I interject a little bit on this?
absolutely.
Ross did this for me, this market dominating position, and I thought I did a fairly good job of my website and marketing my company. But once we went through this exercise of this market dominating position, it was a game changer for me. I looked at things much differently. I looked at how I spoke to people, how I spoke to prospects. You know, what was my offering? What did I offer that was better and different than other people? And I looked at what I had done in the past, and I wasn't standing out from the crowd. But Ross taught me how to stand out from the crowd, how to make my offering better, where people were not just where I'm trying to entice them, but where they're like, I'd be crazy to not work with Rick. And so you went over it kind of fast, but I think that is such a powerful concept. And I know it helped me and was just such a huge game changer for me in my business.
Rick,
So,
thanks for bringing that up, and I appreciate it, but you're dead on. Because the big thing here, everyone has to understand, that market dominating position is the foundation of your business from a marketing and advertising point of view. All right. And I'll show you when we get into this in more detail, but that is the most important thing. You have to know who you are, but you have to talk to your prospects. You have to talk to them that you're in their shoes. You have to talk to them that you feel the pain they feel. And once you do that, you have them for life because no one's doing it. Why would I want to go to someone and say, you know what, I'm going to go buy a car, and they're talking about the best car? Why don't you talk about my pain? Which car should I get? You know, these are things that obviously is learning curve for most people, but once they do see it, like Rick says, it's life-changing. And you know, the next thing, and we'll get this into other slides, is digital marketing. It's the hottest thing. And I'm going to tell you, people think that's the first thing they should go to, but it's the wrong concept, and I'll show you why. But once you do have more leads, you then go and you have conversions. And not sure if everyone knows what a drip campaign is, but if you're in business regarding of your product or service, you must have a drip campaign because you're leaving a lot of money on the table, and I'll tell you why. First of all, a drip campaign is a process where you're automatically, what happens is a potential customer sees something that you're communicating to them. You're offering them something free. Like with Rick, I did this 12-point report on how the key issues on selling your business. And Rick took this, put it into a squeeze page where people would go in, and it would attract people who are looking for businesses, looking to sell their business. And they would get on, put their name in and their email, and they're getting this free report, which educates them on what they need to know about selling their business before they contact Rick. This is very powerful. So what happens is when people put their name in there and their email on a timed and scheduled basis, there are different emails that are going to those potential prospects. It could be daily, it could be weekly, it could be bi-weekly or monthly. And what happens is your communication to your customers or potential customers is happening instantaneously. And just to let you know, the conversion equation is so important when you're addressing the problems your customers have, which they do not want, and the result they want, which they do not have. If you're not using it, it takes 20 to 100 points of contact, or touch points. That's emails, robocalls, text messages, Facebook, you name it. Any sort of way of trying to communicate to a customer takes 20 to 100 times before they make a decision. But when you use the conversion equation, it drops down to 5 to 12 points of contact. And I did this with a child psychologist of mine. And because of it, he was able, with the squeeze page, he was able to obtain 78 new clients, which brought in about $30,000 of additional revenue. But when he got the drip campaign, it turned into 156 clients, which was well over $130,000 of additional revenue. And that's over the course of the year. So between those two strategies, he was close to $170,000, $180,000. And you know what? That runs 24/7. And his problem was after 12 months, he was getting 30 clients a month, and he had to turn it off because he couldn't handle it logistically. Next is follow-up close rates, all right, and initial close rates. These are things when you're advertising, you have to be able to measure. And I'm always a big fan. When you try something new, you do a beta test, do it small, see if it works. If something does not work, you stop and you make your changes. You revolve, you rinse, you repeat. And you keep doing it until your rates are going up and you know there's traction and there's return on the investment that you're in your marketing. Next is scripts. A lot of businesses don't have scripts for what they need. When you're a receptionist, if you create this market dominating position, that script should be the market dominating position, so your receptionist communicates that to current customers, potential customers. Anyone who calls should have the same message that's driving your business. And then you need a compelling offer, just like Rick says, an offer you cannot refuse. You'd be ridiculous not to get that information. Next is you go into more transactions. Obviously, reactivating a former customer takes less time and investment than getting a new customer. So we show you how to reactivate your former customers. If you're not familiar with a downsell, that's simply being able to offer your product or service or something similar at a lower price point to prevent your potential client going to your competition because you don't offer a product or service at a lower price point because they can't hire the premier package or whatever. They have to go with the gold package or the silver package. I'm just using that as an example. Next is we talk about how to increase the frequency of purchasing. This is big because once you have a customer, you bring them in, then you show them new things. You put things out there. Hey, people who have bought this also bought this. You buy this, hey, buy this, and you could bundle it together. It's very powerful and increases revenues and purchasing power dramatically. Additional products and services. We were on yesterday and there was one potential person who said that, they have a business, and when it came to additional products and services, they said that they don't have any. And I asked them what business they were in, and they told me, and I said, let me ask you a question. Do you ever get calls for business of products they want, but you don't make it? And they say, yeah, I do a lot of times. I say, well, why don't you make it? They say, well, one is I don't have the machinery, I don't have the staff, I don't know how. So guess what? Go to your competition, put a joint venture together, become a partner. You're not competing with each other because that person may be at a higher level than you or have a different clientele. But if you're able to put a joint venture together, that's additional revenue you could get. So I think outside the box. I hope the business owners think outside the box because there are many ways to increase your business and revenue without doing a lot of work. Next is appointments. How do you create the appointments? How do you follow up? And the big thing is a lot of people, a lot of businesses make a sales call. I do a lot of cold calls. And you know what? I'm guilty as well. I don't follow up as much as I should because I'll make a call. They say call back at 3:00. I could be on the phone call. All of a sudden I have an appointment and I forget to follow up. The fortune, as they say, is in the follow-up, and anyone who does follow up is going to be grabbing all that extra dollars that are on the table. And then if you have a sales team, what scripts do you provide to them? What are their goals? How do you track their goals? But how do you track they're doing the work correctly? What's their call rate? What are they bringing in from a sales point of view? These are very important to track. And once we're done there, we finally go into more profits. And when I talk to a business owner, the first thing I look at is cutting costs. And there are a couple reasons for that. But the main one is when you cut costs, every nickel you save is unadulterated, pure profit. It goes into your pocket, goes into the business. It doesn't affect revenue. But cutting costs, I look at it. I'm not looking to cut employees, cut salaries. That's not the thing. I'm looking at areas where you're spending money and it's not logical. It's not working for your business. It's not aiding your business, whether it's a sale or keeping a client. I was dealing with one client, and he has a Porsche, and it's the cold weather, and he puts it in storage for 4 months, and he pays monthly fees on the storage. Plus, he got $500 depreciation. I said, you know what? You really don't need that car. What's it doing for you? I'd rather have you sell that car, put that money back in your business where now you may be behind because your accounts receivable or accounts payable are reverse, upside down, where your money, you're paying your bills before you receive your receivables, which is a tough thing to handle. So it was an ego thing. And I said, what's more important, driving around this car or keeping your business running and afloat during this pandemic? I mentioned bundling. You may have a couple of different areas in your business or a couple of different opportunities where you could bundle two things together. And instead of discounting, bundle it, create a higher price point. People will buy because of value. If they're getting something 4 times more the cost, they'll buy it. They're not so much sold on price. The price point it takes effect is when you look at a lot of retail. I come from the clothing industry. Clothing companies work on seasons. They don't want inventory. So what happens if something's not selling? I do agree, discount it to get rid of dead inventory. But if it's good inventory, why discount it to get the revenue share? Add something to it. Charge a higher price. Give them a higher value. Things work out differently when you think logically. Increase the longevity of the buying relationship. We talk about this. We ask questions. When I deal with a business owner, I ask them to ask their clients questions. Hey, how's business? What's going on? Are there other areas I can help you in? Until you find out the other areas, and we all talk about, don't leave any crumbs on the table. Get as much as you can. Until you know what other areas they need help in, it may not be 100% related to you, but you may know someone you can help out. And it may be something you do in your business, but you never brought it up to them because they came to you for one issue that you handled. Next, we talked about increasing prices. I go on and I'm dealing with a lot of retail companies, especially brick and mortar stores in the apparel business. And I look at their website and I say, first and foremost, I hate to say this to you, but you're losing about, and we have someone coming in here. I'm going to let Brett come in. And the big thing here is that, and anyone who has come in, Brett, I see you just jumped in. We're recording this. I'm glad to have you. I'm Ross and Rick's on the other line. And what we could do is, you have any questions at the end because you're coming in towards the tail end of the webinar. We just want to take care of whatever we can for you. But
Welcome, Brent.
No problem. You're welcome.
So basically, when we're talking about increasing prices, I say to them, and I was talking about the garment business because I used to be in it, and I deal with brick and mortar retail stores. They discount their price. And when you discount 10%, you have to sell 30% more in order to break even. I say that's crazy. And then people who are geared towards buying clothing won't go and buy some until they see it's 40, 50% off. They're used to that. And when I deal with a boutique or a retail store, I say, stop discounting. All right, stop competing on price. Express why you're the best in your industry and pair something together, bundle it together, create a higher price and more value. People, when they see I'm the lowest, I've been around 30 years, it's a family-owned business, they don't want to hear that. They want to hear what's best for them. So when you compete on price, people are looking and saying, wow, that price, it's too good to be true. Do I really believe in the product or the service? You have to understand the mentality of the consumer and your prospect. So this is what the actual business, building a business model looks like. And for people who've just joined us, we start off with a foundation. And I'm just going to repeat myself so people who have just joined can understand. Most businesses, you have to have a solid foundation. You know, you can't build a house with clay and with sand, because the first storm, your house will be in another county. It has to be solid. You have to have a strategy. What's your plan? Where do you want to go in 2021? How do you want to grow your business? Where do you want to be in 3 years, 5 years? What don't you have implemented in order to help you grow properly? I know people on this call want to sell their business. What's your goal? What's the valuation you want to get out of this so you can increase your business? Finally, your end game is to sell. I want to sell in 2021, 2022, whatever the time frame is. You build your strategy based upon your end game. Market dominating position. Once you create a market dominating position, you will never have to compete on price, and you won't have competition because you'll stand out from the crowd. This is the basis of every type of marketing and advertising you have to communicate. It's the first thing you say when you open up your mouth at a networking event and someone says, "What do you do?" You have to be dead on, has to be ideal. And I'll tell you what my market dominating position is. It's I can uncover anywhere from $100,000 in additional revenue in under 45 minutes without costing an additional dollar in marketing or advertising. I guarantee my results, and I provide a full roadmap of the strategies, the processes, the timelines, when to implement it, and how to implement it. And again, I guarantee these results in writing. So when I do that, people look at me and say, "Wait a minute, how are you able to do that?" They may question it, and then I sit down and I show them what I do. So what I want to do is, there's one area we have to talk really much deeper about, and that is digital marketing. This is the hottest industry right now, and people are flooding towards it. They think it's the great goal of everyone's ideas, go digital marketing. But here's the problem. Look at all that is involved in digital marketing. Where do I start? Copywriting, e-commerce, live audio, video. Look at social media. You got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that here. Paid advertising, Google AdWords. I had a client I started with, and interior designer, and she was paid $1,000 to set up Google AdWords, and then she also spent $1,000 a month. And luckily, I started with her when she only started in the first month, so it cost her $2,000. And I said, "Do me a favor, stop it." And she looked at me and said, "But that's $2,000. I said, "You know what? I saved you an additional $11,000 if you go through the full year, because you never get the value of the return on your investment. And it's all because of a market dominating position." She would have blamed the company that provide her with the Google AdWord leads and all that, but it wasn't their fault. They delivered. Problem is your messaging. You're not getting in the head of your clients. You're not understanding their problem. You're not solving their problem. This is crucial. So we took a step back, and now I don't have her doing social media right away. Your marketing is key. You have to get out there. You have to target your clientele. So this is the biggest thing. Where do you start? And what happens? Only a few of us can help a client implement the solution in the area of digital marketing, but none of us is competent or systematically to find the breakthroughs for a business and lead the process of implementation. So what happens? We do something stupid and say, and believe me, I wasn't on this roller coaster to take that picture. And we say, let's start here. So that's what I find a lot of business owners are doing. They put a Facebook page up, or they put a website, and these are a lot of businesses that are startups, or they're looking for new ways of creating business. I have a website. I'm going to Instagram. I'm going to Facebook, LinkedIn. I'll build it and they'll come, and nothing happens. It's all because they do not have the foundation built up. You do not have your strategy. What happens when you do get people coming in? You don't know what to do. And that has happened time and time again. They don't have their market dominating position. They don't have the process and procedures in place that could warrant whatever comes in. And again, they're not building trust. They're not expressing how they are the expert in their industry and they're not educating their potential customer. So we need something that's systematic, intelligent, persuasive, and I'm introducing what I've created is the profit acceleration software. And I'm going to show you a picture of it. But what we do is we have a profit jumpstart. These are 12 key areas that target those areas in the pie chart that make up the 20% of what every business owner should be working on daily that produce 80% of your revenue. Again, these are the 20% areas that are producing 80% of your revenues you got to work on. Once we do that, I have a breakthrough 40. This is more detailed. There are 28 other areas that we dive into. But when I work with someone, we start off with the 12 areas. We do 5 at a time or 6 at a time, depending what you can handle. But once you get those areas into place and you got them down pat, you have something that's running on clockwork and you're making a lot of money because you have huge amount of clientele. The key issue is, can you handle the upload? So what we have here is you have digital acceleration, you have content marketing, website optimization, email marketing, SEO, search engine optimization, advertising, social media, video marketing, matrix KPIs. My head's spinning as a business owner. Then you have strategic innovation, increasing prices. How dare you? I'm going to lose clientele. Market dominating position. What the heck are you talking about? Compelling offer, one-time offers, cross-sell, downsell, pop-up windows, list building, drip campaigns, digital costs, increasing margins. Business owners are so overwhelmed with the day-to-day operation of their business that they know. You're in a business, whether you're in manufacturing, you know your product. You're in a chiropractor, you know chiropractic. You're not a great marketer. And a lot of times business owners do not understand the accounting part of their business, cash flow. If you're a manufacturer, you understand it a lot better than other businesses. And the only reason I'm saying that is you have to understand what your cost of goods sold are, all right? What's your overhead, your fixed cost versus your variable cost. So what happens is, this is my profit acceleration software. This is, if you look at your business like a boat, and your boat has holes in it and you're going into a storm, what do you think's going to happen? Well, water will come in and there's a good potential opportunity it could sink. Well, what this does is I go through here, as you could see, market dominating position all the way down to cutting costs. These are the 12 areas in the profit jumpstart. And I locate the areas in your business where you're losing money. I then provide the strategies, how to implement, how to increase, and how to provide the increase in each one of these areas where now you're making money in those areas where you're losing money. And the one thing I want to stress to you is that when I work on small incremental increases. All right. And I'll show you that in a minute. But what I want you to take a look at, this is the current revenue of this business, $500,000. Their current profit was $37,500. We went through the areas that we thought were most important. I said, we thought, it's not I could direct, but it's really the business owner, what they feel they can work on. They feel what's most important at the time frame. So we started with market dominating position, leads, alliances, joint ventures, drip campaign, and cutting costs. And by implementing those 5 strategies, the expected increase in revenue is $241,000, bringing your new annual gross revenue up to $741,000. Now, you look at the new annual profit, it now went up from $37,500 to $154,615. That's gross. So some of these take a little investment, a little money, little costs are involved. So what I did was the 497 million weighted algorithms now takes that into consideration. And this is your total net profit impact, $117,115, or a 312% increase. When you look at a business that's making $500,000 and only getting a profit of 37.5, and now you're doing 741,000, making 117,000. That's big. But the one thing I do is I mentioned to you that I use small incremental changes. If you look over here at market dominating position, we're able to uncover $65,000 of additional revenue just by introducing your market dominating position. There's 13%. Well, when we go through it, there are two areas that you have to add a percent increase in. The first one is when you create a market dominating position, I ask the business owner, now that we have it, what do you think the increase in revenue would be percent-wise? And a lot of them will say 30%, 50%, 75%. I even have people go over 100%. And you want to know something, you're right. But I only put in 7% there. Again, I believe in small incremental changes. The other area is if you take the same market dominating position and have your staff, your receptionist, anyone internally in your business, and anyone who works for you externally have the same market dominating presentation. So when someone is a salesman and they're calling on a client, they have their market dominating position down pat. That we put down 6% because they thought the same increase would happen for that. So that's why I want to say when I use small incremental changes, it's huge. So when we look at this total profit impact of $117,000, I always tell the business owner, make sure you're sitting down, buckle up, because this is your 5-year net profit impact that you're leaving on the table. $585,575. That's pure net profit. You implement these strategies year after year, that's going to constantly happen. There are two things that I want you to understand. You implement these strategies, then you start implementing some of these other ones, like a compelling offer, upsell, bundling, increasing prices. Your revenue is going to go up dramatically. Your net profit's going to go up dramatically. But because I was very conservative in my numbers, just to let you know, this $741,000 really turned into over $1 million, and your 5-year impact was well over $750,000 in 5 years. So what I
Ross.
Yes.
Hey, Ross, sorry. I just want to talk about that. So 750,000 a year is what you're talking about?
No, in 5 years.
In 5 years. So 750 divided by 5. So about 50,000 a year. No, 70,000 a year, right?
No, it's if you're looking at it as 750, right? 750, you're dividing by 5, it's roughly about $150,000 a year in net profit. We're at 117 here. So I'm saying because I use small incremental changes, because they're small incremental percentages, you're going to your profit increase is going to be much more higher than the percentages I put in here.
Gotcha. But even like a $75,000 a year increase to net income, I want to say at a 4 multiple using the arbitrage, that's a $300,000 difference in selling price of the business.
That's a great point. Look at that impact.
I mean, that when we're looking to sell the business, you don't think that's much, 50, 60, 70 grand a year to the bottom line. But when you look at selling, you add another 300,000 to the selling price. That, I don't know about you, but that's real money for me.
Well, that's and for anyone who's on a call right now on our meeting, that's the key, because you may have a price in mind when you want to sell. And you deal with Rick, and Rick says, you know what, if you want to get there, you're valued at X right now. You want to get there, you're at $1.2 million, and you want to get $1.5 million, you need that $300,000. Now you know what needs to be done. The key issue, how long does it take? Certain things could take 3 months, certain things could take a year, but it's all based upon growing that business and getting to the end game of what you want to get out of your business. Yep. Great point, Rick.
Yep. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, please, anyone, So with that being said, what I want to show you here is that these numbers are real. I've done this for many companies, all right? And the reason I show small incremental changes is because if I came in here and say, I'm going to increase your business 50%, you look at me and say, you know what, that guy is smoking something, that guy's on something, whatever. There's no physical way. But if I show you small incremental changes, produce big results, there's not one business owner that I've dealt with that looked at this and did not believe it because of the impact of the information I provide and the strategies and the resources. In fact, back here, strategies, which I haven't opened up, I have a back office that has all the advertising, and I mean killer advertising. Ask Rick. I supplied, he went in there and he looked at some of this advertising, and all of a sudden he looks and he sees a guy pulling his hair out, and that's the type of advertising. It's in your face marketing, not from a arrogant point of view, but you're dealing with the prospect's pain point. It's attracting their pain, and you know what? You have the result in there as well. So you're killing two birds with one stone, and at the end of the day, these people are going to come to you like bees to honey because you're the only one doing this. And then obviously there's just a lot of money that you're leaving on the table. The quick question is, how much are you leaving on the table? And I just want to introduce that Rick has not only been very gracious in having me present here, but he wants to make a great holiday offer to anyone on this call. And he says, if you book a business checkup with me where I go through a 90-minute business profit acceleration software business checkup with you, he will pay the cost for this. I mean, that's a great gift because this will give you the roadmap. It will provide you the areas you need to increase your business. It will provide you with the strategies. It will provide you with the timelines, how to implement that. It's unbelievable when people are able to see their business and see how it can grow. Because a lot of people, when you're not doing well during COVID, they look at it and say, I don't know how I'm getting out of it. They might be in quicksand and they don't know how to get out of it. But I sit down and I work with them and I show them line by line what to do, and they do it. The key here is take this 90-minute challenge. I mean, it's unbelievable what you walk away with. Rick, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, I do, Ross. Sorry, I had it on mute. So I'm going to email everyone the link so that they can sign up after, or you can look at it right now.
Hey, you want to go on right now, you could do it. Just make a copy of this. If you want to go on it and you want me to do it, I'll do it. I have no problem. I'm just saying to you, I know next week is Thanksgiving, and the only reason I bring it up is because we're in a situation where I know I'm in New Jersey, and 2 days ago, the governor of Pennsylvania says, guess what? You got to wear your mask in your house. And you know what? That's ridiculous. But at the end of the day, most people are really not congregating for Thanksgiving. So to me, I'll work. I'll do something because I'll be with my wife and daughter. We'll have it here. But at the end of the day, there's still a lot of hours during the day. And you know what? Maybe I don't need to watch TV or a ball game. I can help someone grow their business and provide this information to them so they are ready to hit the ground running for 2021. That's what's crucial about this. We have 6 weeks left until 2021, and a lot of people can't wait for 2020 to end. The key is, are you going to be in the same position you are today, or do you want to go and increase your revenue in 2021 where you don't have competition, but the revenue is life-changing? And I'm only saying that because I've done it before, and I've seen people's faces after they start seeing these changes in their business and they start working on the 20% that are bringing in 80% of their revenue. They're freeing up time. They're having time to spend with their family. They're not staying awake at night worrying about the business. They're staying up at night because they see the anticipation of the business growing. So that's all I have to say. If anyone has any questions, please, I open it up to anyone. Wow. Is everyone on mute?
Yep, I think so. So if there aren't any questions, we'll go ahead and end. Appreciate your time, Brent and Steve, today. And I'll send out an email
Everyone else? Yep.
so you can sign up for the free 90-minute checkup if you'd like. Thanks again, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Have a
Thanks
great
again. Bye-bye.